All right, let's get to who is eating good in the neighborhood, served by Applebee's. And man, we got to look at the NFC North. Speaking of these divisions around the league, which division is better than the NFC North, Coach? There's not a bad team in the whole division as you go through it.
There really isn't. And I don't think we would have said that at the beginning of the year. Everybody thought, oh, the Lions, they played great. Yeah, they're going to be very good. Green Bay losing some people. Chicago's probably a little ways away. Minnesota, who's going to be their quarterback? And all of a sudden now you got four teams that are winning, that are playing very, very well. And the Vikings have been super impressive. A balanced team, offense, Sam Darnold rallying those guys, and that great defense, Rod. They're playing as well as anybody in the league.
Yeah, the key word that you said with the Vikings is balance. But the one thing I like about the Lions is the experience that they have. They've been together for a few years now. Coach Jameson Williams, he's been a huge addition to this offense. He's really given that deep threat. And this is a team that can play just like we talked about Baltimore. They can play whatever style of game you want. Like we talked about, Coach, they can run the ball 30 times. They can shoot it out in 50 times and let Jared Goff pass the ball 50 times. So whatever game you want to play, this offense is capable of it. The big concern is without Aiden Hutchinson, because not just what he does on the field, but the encouragement and what he does in that locker room. Coach, that is a huge loss. I mean, that is a big, big loss. And that's not like losing one person. That's like almost losing two or three guys.
Yeah, you're so right about that. I remember when I was coaching in Indianapolis, and our defense, Bob Sanders was in and out of the lineup that year we went to the Super Bowl. When he was out, it was totally different because not only did he make big plays, but he brought the energy, he brought the confidence, and he was definitely the leader there. So they're going to have to replace that with Hutchinson. I think their defensive backs are getting a little better. I still worry about them giving up big plays on defense, but I love the way their offense is playing right now.
And also, I'm a big fan of the Green Bay Packers. You know how much I respect Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, his toughness in there, and Matt LaFleur, his ability to call. But, you know, Jaden Reed has just been outstanding, Coach. And you start to look at some of the dangerous weapons in the NFL, Tyreek Hill. I mean, this guy has to – I mean, he is a problem when he gets the ball in his hands. I think he's one of the most feared players in the National Football League. They have so many young guys that are just hungry. And that's what you saw from Romeo Dobbs. He wants the football. These guys are hungry. And when you watch him play, it's so impressive to sit back and watch him play because they have a really cool quarterback that can get the ball to everyone. A lot of different trickery plays from Matt LaFleur, creativity on the offensive side of the ball. I think Green, and then a defense that's starting to play better. You look at Edgerrin Cooper, the young linebacker, he's making some plays. Kenny Clark can still play at a high level up front, Rashawn Gary. So this division is the best division in football. I know Minnesota, you talk about balance, Coach, but I'm starting to see Green Bay, their defense start to catch up a little bit with their offense. So this should be fun this next, the rest of the season, next month or so.
Yeah. And then you look at last year, Detroit won the division and almost went to the Super Bowl. Chicago played Detroit better than anybody last year. Went in there to Detroit and beat them. Should have won the game in Chicago. And now they've got better quarterback play, and they're playing with more confidence. So this is going to be a division that goes down to the wire, I believe.
And how about the Bears, bro? Hey, Jack, how about the Bears, man? Like, we were talking about Caleb, and we're like, oh, my goodness, how many games are they going to win? And all of a sudden, he calms down. He gets some of his guys healthy. They start to run the ball. The defense makes a few more plays. And now all of a sudden, Coach, you can see the progress with Caleb. And we've talked about this. I still believe he holds on to the ball a little bit too long. But I think with more experience and more confidence, that's something that he can rectify.
Yeah, and maybe even some more hits. Like I thought it was really interesting how C.J. Stroud after that Sunday night game, and Caleb, he's coming off a loss. He really was not in the mood to hear it. But when C.J. Stroud pulled him aside and he was so dead serious, said, just don't take those hits, man. Don't let them get those hits in on you. He was really trying to give him some good advice, and advice I'm sure he learned the hard way. And my guess is that Caleb will figure out how much merit there was in that lesson as the years go on and as this year goes on, Coach.
Yeah, and I remember talking to Matt Eberflus after that game, and yes, they lost the game to Houston, but Matt was encouraged. Hey, we've got a leader, we've got a winner. His head is not down. Yeah, he didn't make all the plays we want him to make, but these guys have confidence in him. We're going to grow from this. And as Rodney said, they're playing with confidence right now, and they're going to be a tough out for whoever plays them.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wins the North? Rod, go ahead. Who wins this division?
I would have to say I was leaning on the Lions, but I still like the Packers. I know they're young. I think their defense will continue to grow. I really like LaFleur. I like the Lions a lot. I like the Vikings, but if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go with the Packers going to win the division.
I was going to go with the Lions until the Hutchinson injury. That gives me a little cloud. That I think that helps the Vikings. So right now with that injury, I'm going to give the Vikings the slight edge.
Wow.
And Jack, he likes to go with the undefeated team.
Yeah, you get a little boost on the odds there. Hey, if you're Detroit, one last question before we move on. Would you make one of these trades to go get another pass rusher without Hutchinson and everything he brought to their defense, or do you play it as it is?
I probably play it as it is and just tell the guys, hey, you got to pick up the slack until Aiden gets back. We think he can get back at the end of the year. We hope he's there. Let's do it. Pick it up from within and get him back for the playoffs, and then we'll go from there.
If I'm a guy in that locker room, if I'm a guy in that locker room, I'm looking at the opportunity, obviously, but I'm also looking and saying, I don't believe Aiden Hutchinson will be back this season. That's what I'm thinking. And if excuse me, if you want to get a player, and I've heard the rumors with Max Crosby, that's a lot of money to spend on a guy. And commit. And you have to pay Aiden Hutchinson eventually. But I'm with you, Coach. I'm gonna sit still, and I'm not gonna go out and trade for anyone. I'm just gonna let my other guys, and then defense coordinator. Aaron Glenn. He has to do just a great job of creating pressure and designing defenses to try to, have pressure.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.